Today's lecture is going to cover the central nervous system, as abbreviated on the slide as CNS. Now, the central nervous system has a variety of functions. As we go into the different parts of the central nervous system, we will be talking about all of their various functions. Now, of course, the central nervous system consists of your brain and your spinal cord. If you remember when we were talking about body cavities, in the dorsal body cavity you have the cranial cavity, right, and that's where your brain is located, protected by your skull. And then you have your spinal cavity, your spinal cord is located in there, protected by the vertebral column. Now, your brain is divided into 5 major parts. First part is your brainstem, which is then subdivided into the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. You also have the cerebellum, the hypothalamus, the thalamus, and the cerebrum. These pictures here just illustrate the basic structure of the brain overall. The large part of your brain is the cerebrum, located towards the back, kind of underneath, or at the top of your neck, the back of your head, is the cerebellum. You have the brainstem, which sort of connects the brain to the spinal cord. And then right in the center of it all, you have the diencephalon, which is made up of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Now again, the brainstem is made of the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. Now the major functions of the medulla oblongata is to regulate things like heartbeat, breathing, and blood pressure. Your pons, right, kind of makes a connection, forms some sort of link between the cerebellum and the rest of the central nervous system. And it's responsible also for head movement responses to vision and sound. And then finally, the midbrain connects the cerebrum and the cerebellum. So there's 2 parts to the rest of the central nervous system. And it's a reflex center for things like touch, sound, sight. Now the next part of your brain is the hypothalamus. As I said before, this is a part of the diencephalon along with the thalamus. So it's kind of easy to remember the hypothalamus and the thalamus both belong to this structure called the diencephalon. And your hypothalamus is responsible for maintaining homeostasis, so keeping your body in that state of balance. Also in your hypothalamus, you're going to find the centers for things like hunger, sleep, thirst, body temperature, and blood pressure. Now the thalamus, as mentioned before, is the other part of the diencephalon, and it is a connection, a relay, for sensory information from your body to the rest of your brain. Now sensory information meaning things like sight, taste, touch, and sound. Smell, that information is processed elsewhere in your brain. Now your cerebellum, remember that's the part that's sort of in the back of your brain, right above your neck. And it is responsible for muscle coordination, right? Muscle tone, things along those. It also keeps that balance, right? Because information from your ear to your body position keeps you in balance. If anybody in here has ever had a really bad ear infection, you understand that sometimes when your ear is clogged, it can actually create a sense of dizziness or off balance in your body. The way I always remember this, just as a little mnemonic device, is cerebellum. Kind of sounds like a ballerina or a ballet move. It takes a lot of muscle coordination, a lot of muscle tone to be a ballerina. It works for me. Maybe it'll help you. Alright, the final part of your brain is actually the largest part of your brain, and that's the cerebrum. Your cerebrum is further divided up into 4 lobes: the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe. But overall, your cerebrum is responsible for things like consciousness, learning, problem solving, communication. So all of your, when you think of the brain, all of the big brain functions that you think of usually go back to the cerebrum. And that's it for today.